Association. Really honored to be here today. I'm in this room as part of my life's work. and really, I got interested in financial services through social work. Having been a social worker, a case manager, been through many doors. I was a co-pastor and then a priestess, and it's like many doors. And I got interested in financial services because there was a period of time in 2016 and 2007 where every week, it seems like, people were doing GoFundMes on Facebook because someone had passed and the family did not have the resources to bury their loved ones, to have funeral services. Folks did not know what to do. I was witnessing elders in the community who had advocated and had been in social justice work their whole entire lives, getting ill and then losing their homes, becoming unhoused. And I was like, what is going on, right? And then I got an opportunity to be able to do transition work and actually be in the room when one of our elders in the social justice community transitioned and witness the devastation upon that family because there had not been communication or preparation. And so I'm very passionate now through even the experiences of my own family going through probate, because you know experience is the greatest teacher. And so to be able to turn that around for my daughter and my granddaughter and the future generations to come. So that's why I'm here today. And I would love to know who's in the room, because whenever we talk about these matters, I always assume that there's people with zero financial education and there's people who are financial experts. So
I'm a zero.
Okay, Ashe. Raise your hand if you know that life insurance, the primary purpose of life insurance is for you to use while you're still alive. Ashe, okay, that's good, that's excellent, okay. That's good. Raise your hand if you have a trust. Okay.
Like your trust, or if you're.
No, it's a legal document.
Okay.
I'm managing my mother's trust.
Okay, Ashe. So we have varying degrees of tools that we're using, because these are just tools. And sometimes we have the knowledge and we haven't implemented it yet, because we think we have plenty of time. And I have experienced that and witnessed that. So let me just set the context for our talk today. We'll give a broad overview of some of the tools that we can use when we're talking about our financial blueprint. But most importantly, we want to speak on what it actually takes to create these blueprints for ourselves and our communities. So this talk today is about, okay, we got the reparations check, and then what? What are we gonna do with it, right? You like, spend it.
Buy a Cadillac.
Buy a Cadillac.
No, I mean, I think that what you're gonna say is a very important component, right? Because I think that we all saw COVID, when a lot of us got free money and some scam money. And a lot of, I feel like the violence is happening all across the country, especially with our folks, is due to the fact that no longer having that large pot of money, and many not investing that large pot of money. And now folks are running scared and looking at their fellow man and woman and taking because they didn't make that right investment when having that opportunity with the large sums of money that some folks did get.
Right, right. Exactly, yeah.
My idea
Well, there's some people got, some
with the money
people got some all over.
after reparations is, we should buy a capital project building and house those political people that we're talking about that are elders now and don't have any 401ks. Part of the money that we should pledge it, part of the money to house those people.
Okay, I love that. We're not there yet, but I'm gonna ask you to write that down so we don't lose it. Can you write it on one of these pieces of paper? And then please do, and then I'll collect it, cause
I'll collect it.
Okay, thank you, cause that's very important. We don't wanna lose that. Ashe. So the context is just what you were saying. People have ideas around what they're gonna do when you get the money, and it's like this momentary windfall that's occurring. And so without the intention of using this as a transformative means for our financial independence, then we run the risk of literally just spending it all the way. When we could use it for not only our financial sovereignty, but for the next generations and as a contribution in community too, right? And actually building together. But what do you think are some things that are necessary in order for us to even get to the point of having the readiness or the willingness to do that?
Financial education,
Financial education.
how to save money, what credit means, what investment means, just the basics.
Yep.
Two things would be trade. So being able to do trade with our brothers and sisters in Mexico, South America, the West Indies, understanding currencies. And the second thing is just honoring people's skill sets and passions, because some people are just not financial people. And so having a team of people that you, like for me, I'm like, yo, can you just, you know what I mean? And I have a friend of mine handle my taxes or handle like, you know, my things. So I would just say team building and utilizing our resources and our neighbors and our communities for the things, or for the skills that we may not have.
Awesome. What's your name?
My name is Rashawn.
Rashawn.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that. One of the things that you helped me to remember, because I really didn't say what my organization, Spire Root Power Association, is. And it is for that reason Spire Root was created, because there are so many artists, creatives in our community, and people who just don't have the mindset or the interest, because they just want to be about whatever their ministry is, whatever their passion is. And so collectively, using those principles of Kwanzaa, of cooperative economics and collective work and responsibility, founded Spire Root Power Association so that people can come from various industries in their passions and get support with those business aspects. So you just hit it on the head of like one of the ways that we can powerfully build successfully and really unite. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So even before we get to the tools, because we love tools, right? We love tools. Even before we get to the how to do something, and it's so interesting that we always jump to community first, because I suspect everyone in here has a servant's heart. But I want to remind us that we have to put the mask on first. You know, when you get on a plane, the oxygen pressure is low, and they tell you put your oxygen mask on first, and then tend to everyone else. And that is really what it is for financial education too, financial literacy and how we shore up ourselves. And one of the ways we do that is we gotta go back a little bit. We gotta go back a little bit. Okay, and I'm not gonna talk about the genealogy yet, that's to come, but just back to even our childhood, back to our money stories, what we heard about money, because those things are still influencing us. Some of us heard, money don't grow on trees, or we grew up in households where parents were arguing about money, or when we grew up in single family households where maybe their money was really tight, or maybe we grew up where there was an abundance of money and folks just gave it all away, and then the next generation really didn't have anything. Or maybe there was no communication about it. Everyone had what they needed, but then you didn't even know what to do. I know at a very early age, I knew how to write checks. I knew how to write a check. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook, but I could write a check. So there's some gaps in communication and in learning sometimes. And then, so just kind of sitting and learning about these things so that we can kind of shore up those gaps. And also, there's this thing around secrecy. What goes on in the house stays in the house, and don't tell bragging and tell nobody what you have. And sometimes we don't want to ask people questions because we don't want them to turn around and ask us questions. Right? So our ego gets involved. Like, there's a lot of stuff to unpack when we're talking about getting our financial situation together. So it really is an opportunity for us to just be gentle on ourselves, not make ourselves or anyone else wrong. And it's an opportunity to look again and start from where we are and call in those resources for what we need. So, let me make sure I'm on track because I do have some notes, right? So in talking about our own financial sovereignty, like I said, the money, our own personal money story and our comfort in talking about it. And then what is our mindset around it? Do we have an abundance mindset? Are we operating from lack? Are we in competition mode? Do we think there's enough to go around for everyone? And then looking at what our values are. I hear people say, I spend my money where my values are. But not really. Most of the time, we spend our money on what's convenient, right? We do it. I do it too. Instead of, if I need to buy something, am I going to see what Black-owned business owns, has that, or am I just going straight to Amazon? Because maybe I waited too late and now I just need it quick, like proper preparation. So really looking at what are our values and how are we living it. So when I assist people with coming up with the financial blueprint, that's some of the areas that we start first. A lot of times when we're doing financial education, we just want to start to how can I make money? And that doesn't always serve us, because if we don't address kind of the mindset and the emotionality, when we get the money, it will just still slip through our fingers because we haven't really changed our habits. It's like going on a diet. You're really good on the diet, and when the diet is over, you go back to your old eating habits. It's the same thing with spending. Like, how do we create lasting change, right? And when we talk about the generational wealth building component of it, this is where things can get a little trickier, right? Because now we may be dealing with family, we may be dealing with inheritance issues. How often have families been torn apart around inheritance issues? Raise your hand if you know when someone passed away, there was some drama that happened, or some things weren't clear. Yes?
Yeah.
And so how do we begin to heal those things and rectify and some of those things? So one, clear communication. My suggestion is that communication be oral, because that's our tradition, written, paper copies, and digital. They now have digital vaults where you can store your wills, your trust, and your legal documents. Yes?
Yes.
So communication is very important. How many of you right now have at least 3 people in your life that knows your passwords, if your plan, where to access your documents, where your documents are, what your wishes are if you left here tomorrow, a clear plan of succession? 2 people?
I have 2 people.
You have 2 people?
One half a
people.
person.
Okay, that's-
I don't know everything.
That's good, that's good. One person? Just one person?
A half of a person.
Huh?
A half of a person.
A half of a
She
person?
doesn't know everything.
But she's one
She knows
person.
half. One person knows some things.
Okay.
I know it's bad.
It's not bad, it's just what it is, right? But what I'm going to request if for you to take on is look again. Just simply look again. Look again to who has your information, who can you trust with the information, and if you're not able to trust, why? You know, is it something in me? Is it something like, have you not had the conversations? Who in your inner circle can you have these courageous conversations with? Because we have to start having them with ourselves and our inner circle first before we can even get to the community stuff. We haven't even got to the community yet.
So what do you think that someone in our family should know? You and someone in your family should know what? You know.
So they should know clearly what your wishes are around your finances, how to access.
Around my finances? Are you talking about, I thought you were talking about like various stuff. What do you want to say about my finances?
Well, it depends. It's so individual. So I'm really speaking today in broad strokes, because some of us may have businesses, you know. That's another thing. I'm gonna talk about that. Some of us may have businesses, or we may have jobs. So if we have like a 9-to-5, for example, some of us have employers that have insurance for us, right? Does our family members even know the number to the HR department at work? You know, do they know who to speak to and what you're entitled to?
Only if you put them down as your contact with HR.
No, I'm saying if you give them, because when you fill out the HR forms, they have on there who's your beneficiary, who's your emergency contact. But sometimes we put people down and we don't even tell the people that we put them down. We don't give them, or we say, hey, I put you on my list for emergency contact, but then you didn't give them the phone number of who to contact. So now they're trying to search, Google, where did she work again? I know she did social work, but what agency was that with, So I see you, brother, go ahead.
It just struck a real deep place for me. because I'm seeing how hard, I'm seeing myself go back to the city, do with everything that you're saying, and seeing the blocks to even share this information with people because of how much distrust there is.
Yes.
And it hurts, but it also feels good because I feel like working, I feel like you have a great spirit. I feel like asking you, like, whether you travel to do this kind of stuff, because I can see myself bringing a group of folk together and unpacking a lot of trauma. Just in the thought of like, all right, let me share my passwords with my friends. Let me do these things because who knows what can happen. Let me actually share my thoughts and my ideas, and then family members who keep things within themselves. And this whole experience has been about healing generational traumas, but I'm kind of going through my own unwiring while listening to you. I did this one time when I started a program. I sent my team all my passwords, and I said, just in case. I sent them all my stuff. That was the last time I've done it. But I really, it's like diffusing a bomb, cutting the right wire. I feel like that's what this process is. I just wanted to say that to you because it's really deep right now.
Ashe, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, thank you. That internal work is the most important work. That's where it starts. That's where it starts. And the vulnerability, the transparency, the willingness. Ashe. And that gives you more confidence, because then you're just like, when you see someone literally transition in front of your eyes, we always hear, you can't take it with you. But when somebody literally transition in front of your eyes, it really lands, it really hits home. And you get a little less attached to sharing your information with with folks. Someone had their hand up over here.
I was just thinking how sad it is that we don't have people that we trust, even family, just the times that we live in. And I could see this, like, if reparations does happen, my friend here was talking about yesterday how it will divide us even more.
Civil War.
And so it just was making me sad that I have 3 people, but it's family, and I feel like that's a privilege now, you know. But do I have 3 friends that I trust with my information? I think besides my employer, no, I don't. And so it just showed me like how I didn't grow up like my mom. Like my mom still has friends from when she was in school, like women friends that went to junior high. My mom is in her late 70s. They're still friends. We don't have that. We don't have that long lasting friends and inner circles, and maybe we need to work on that, building that too.
I feel like hidden agendas also come into play with some people, and I think that the lack there of communication, this generation that we're all in now, is more of a, this device of communicating. And I think that as my brother and my sister are talking, there are people that I won't work in spaces and just the community work, because they've done purposely and intentionally tried to discredit or collaborated in a way of trying to make me like I was the enemy, right? And would do smear campaigns on social media. Social media only sees what someone imprints, and they don't see nothing else. And if you're not one that goes back and forth, they don't know what the truth is, right? But in the reality, when you see a person's character, it makes us, I think, a little bit less intent to kind of want to work with some individuals like that if you can be that messy. So we are like in this era where the distrust is so at a high level, you know what I mean, that you're saying a verbal is good. Shoot, I'm not even doing no verbals no more. I have to have it written down, because I've had so many verbal contracts with individuals, and we go back to having that conversation. I never said that, huh? You know, like, what do you mean? So it just becomes a person's word no longer means as much as it did back in the day.
Which is why I said verbal, written, and digital. Okay, yes.
Sister Queen,
Get it,
Sister
get
Queen,
it
I just
back.
wanna
Get it.
announce real quick that at 12 o'clock, pretty soon we're going to lunch, so it'll be a shuttle downstairs, and it's a 7-block walk for anybody who wants to walk.
Thank you,
Okay,
brother.
let me be aware of the time.
I got you, we got 4
11:41.
more minutes for this.
Okay.
One more minute.
Like-
You didn't get-
like-
get what
like
we
I
said.
said-
Enough.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I think the way they handle the distribution of this wealth, assuming we get reparations, in addition to reparations, we probably need some type of change in the function and the way this state operates. Because that way we can ensure that each individual will receive a part of the reparation as well as the community as a whole, so that the community can benefit from this. That requires a restructuring of the US in a way that I don't know whether it's prepared to go, but it must.
So, I see you. I wanna invite us into a mindset where we know reparations is
Oh, yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah.
And I was listening to, a talk that was posted 2 weeks ago, for an agency that was, hired to do a report for the legislation around how there's so many legislators on board for the monetary piece. And so the work of the last 40 years is being manifested now. So I wanna invite us to collectively hold that energy of expectation and knowing that it is here.
It's coming.
And so how we prepare ourselves is this is just the tip of the iceberg of the conversation, because we got mending to do, as we have heard.
No, I guess it's more of the expectation, cause I'm not in California, I'm in another area in Florida, but of how different things like we thought, oh, well, maybe a trust, what are those things that can protect us from this, reparations money or any windfall of money can, keep it from not going to the next generation. So that's.
Yeah, so you're
what I'm
talking,
looking.
when you're speaking asset protection, it's, I encourage folks to really reach out so that we could assess, and I do have business partners, who are licensed in 37 of the 50 states. But, in general, in general, we are speaking trust, we are speaking, wills, living wills, living trust and living wills, I need to be specific. And, index annuities or index, universal life insurance. And I speak in generality because a lot of times, health is a requirement for high value life insurance. And, that's why we say, you know, we hear that phrase, your health is your wealth. Literally, your health can, give you access or not to high valued, life insurance. And so a financial, education professional can guide you through other workarounds or alternatives if you don't qualify, or if you do qualify. And sometimes you might have, a daughter or a grandchild that will qualify, and you can access it that way. And then having a solid plan, right? For how that is, disseminated, because that can all just be written down, and that will fall under, you can put that under the trust, the living trust.
Yeah, you kind of skated around what I was gonna say, but I was just listening to the conversations around the distrust and not having people to share those passwords with. So, you know, some of us who don't have children won't be able to share that with people who aren't our children. So I was gonna ask, what is the best option for folks who don't have those types of people to share that information with? And I was gonna ask, would you think it would be like a trust? Could we put all of our stuff into this trust and then allow the trustee to be the one that handles all of that information and distributes it distributes it to whoever we say we wanna distribute it to.
Yes. Yes, the answer is yes.
One thought on that.
And you can't escape trust, cause you still gotta have a trustee that you can trust.
Exactly.
There's no escape from doing the trust work.
I know we don't have a lot of time either, but I was really hoping to see if we could get a little bit more information about the living trust situation and how we could try to set that up. What does it cost? What kind of burden is that gonna put on us for those of us who may not have that high income at this moment, but have these assets or these things that we wanna protect as well?
Yeah. So we have people here from different states, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the best way is everyone here can get a 30-minute consultation and go more into detail into your specific situation. Because we are confronted by time. And I still want to hit on a few other points that I was asked to hit on. Okay? So please reach out to me. If you text me or email me just saying, yes, I want the packet, and then I'll know you want a 30-minute free consultation, you want some tools. I have 2 tools that are 2 or 3 tools to share with you all as well, and then I can get that to you, okay?
And make sure you put your name.
Make sure you put your name, thank you. So I can identify you.
Yes.
So put yes, I want the packet, then I'll know that you're from this event, and then also put your name, thank you. Yes.
I just wanna say real quick that my mother had a trust and she passed. I was the trustee. It was extremely, we were able to avoid probate. Everything was just there. It was just so very smooth. I just can't, now I don't have, even though we're going through that experience, I wouldn't mind, talking, but it was, our parents, some of them were really kind of financially astute with respect to stuff, and,
Yeah, and I see that a lot of times where the previous generations had it going on and just didn't communicate it and then teach the other generations, and then it just falls apart, right? So how we do the succession. So there's other stuff in the individual, but because of time, I want to go ahead to the community and really start speaking to, you said I'm at time?
No,
We got the shuttle down there.
it's 10 minutes,
Gonna ride,
5 minutes.
and, some gonna walk, so.
Oh, I see.
We got a big-
You might need extra time.
Kind of wrapping it up, 11:50, around that, cause we gotta go downstairs. That's where the shuttle is, and some of them will walk, security will walk with them.
So this is gonna be a
So if
fishbowl
someone
after
wanna
lunch,
skip
where we
lunch
can
and
come back
stay.
to this.
So how much more time do I have?
Or
I
do
think
have
5
no more
minutes
time?
will be fine, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But anybody who needs the shuttle should probably go now.
Yeah,
Well, no, okay, I'm looking at the time.
I'm
Keep
looking
going.
at the time too.
Okay.
We got 5
Let's
minutes.
keep going.
It's not that far, it is about 7 blocks north.
Okay, let's-
5 minutes.
Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want anyone to miss the shuttle. I'm not.
We got 10 minutes, right? Right, John?
About 5
We got
minutes.
about 5
5
minutes.
minutes.
So okay. This is something that I'm recommending is a way for us to have more financial literacy and education spaces. I don't know if it's a Saturday school or workshops, and that they include not just the financial literacy, but also the trust building, the courageous conversations, what questions to ask, how to identify people in your community, how to even build community. Some of us don't know how to build community. That's why we don't have that community. Or sometimes we build community and it falls apart because now we've grown apart. And now we have to go to another community, find our tribe, our soul family, like-spirited, like-hearted folks, right? So talking about that. But then the other thing and these 2 points, and I apologize that of the time, we have to just kind of skim it, but these are very important points. One, around the succession. Some of us are business owners, and maybe we don't have children. Even if we did have children, it may not be our children's path, our mission to carry on our business. And so now that business is lost to the community as a Black-owned business and a contribution, because there's no one to take it on. So even identifying and training who in succession in community, even if they're not family, it's probably better sometimes if they're not family. But whose path is it to take that on? And really thinking about those things, calling that forth, and training people. And the other thing is around the family unit. Marriage counseling and family therapy is very important when we're talking about reparations, because the family unit is a place where economic breakdown often occurs. So you can't talk about reparations, keeping generational wealth, if you're not also speaking about how to heal those units and keep those units together when at all possible. So those are parts of the plan. The other thing, if I tell, do I have any?
Yes, you got 2 whole minutes.
The other thing, because this is deep, but the other thing is the genealogy.
Yes.
So when we go back in Sankofa and we look at how our ancestors stewarded land together and how they passed on heirship, land, we can learn some valuable things. If I go back just to my Geechee people, my Gullah people, sometimes they would put 100 heirs in one thing of land, because there's 100 families living together on the land, and they put 100 heirs on the land, and it's been successfully passed down from generation to generation, and no one's getting lost in the community of that. So we can learn a lot from if we go back and bring those things forward. Sometimes it will apply, and sometimes it may not, but we can go back to our genealogy and pull that forward, and how we want to create things. I heard the brother say we need a lot of restructuring. That's part of the restructuring, making things culturally relevant for us. And when we have money, we are able to do that.
Exactly.
And okay, all right. I love y'all so much. I wanna be here longer.
For those who wanna stay, can we go another like 20, 30 minutes, or what's the situation with that?
We gotta go.
If you're gonna miss food.
I'm good.
I'm gonna say contact me, because I want to just honor the space and what I was here to do. And I don't want anyone to feel like they're missing out.
But what about taxes? Are we gonna have to pay taxes after reparations?
Nah.
Is the tax thing worked out?
You don't have to my understanding, now I'm not a reparations expert on that part, but to my understanding it's tax-free. But if you wanted to keep it tax-free, you need to put it in some tax-free products, like an annuity, like, insurance policy.
Well, you know, nothing is tax-free, it's just called tax deferred.
The tax
Somewhere
deferred.
somewhere down the road, some generation's gonna pay that tax, but at a different tax rate. Hopefully after reparations, and there will be no taxes for us.
Well, if you pay taxes on it once, you won't pay taxes on it again.
Right.
So, you're not gonna be double taxed.
You got a 50 passenger bus waiting.
Okay, have a good afternoon. Please contact me. Love you.
Yeah, that was good.
You got people in Florida?
Florida, yes. Florida, yes.
South Carolina?
I don't remember South Carolina. I don't think, but.
That's okay, I'm in
But
Florida.
just
I got a lot of land.
Georgia.
in South